Hey everyone, welcome to the Girls Gone Sporty weekly live cooking show. So I am here live tonight and I will be back here live every Thursday night at 8 o'clock p.m. whipping up healthy, delicious, nutritious foods. So what we do here is focus on teaching you how to enjoy healthy foods, healthy eating, without thinking as much about calories or food restrictions, because that just takes the fun out of eating. And I know I love to eat. I hope you love to eat too. That's what we're all about. So today I'm going to be sharing my favorite green juice recipe. It's what I consider kind of a beginner green juice. I see some of those recipes, I've tried some of those recipes that are just like every, bitter, kind of weird tasting vegetable possible shoved into a green juice that just ends up, you kind of want to hold your nose to drink it down because it's just not appetizing. This I call a beginner green juice because it actually does taste good. Now I'm not going to play you here and tell you that it doesn't still taste like the spinach that's in it. It does. You get a little bit of a grassy smell, a grassy flavor, but it's sweet as well and it's a little bit tart because we add lemon. So just to kind of break it down for you, what I've done here will create two juices. Now I happen to use a slow press juicer, a slow juicer, which doesn't masticate and like churn up the fruits and vegetables like crazy and destroy them and destroy nutrients and do it too quickly. And so it's kind of a slow process to squeeze slowly the juice out of the fruits and vegetables. But I don't know why I was talking about that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's live. That's going to happen. I use in this particular recipe 2 large cucumbers. So this will give you an idea of the size of the cucumber that I use. It's nice and big. And then I use 4 small green apples. These come in the bag of 20 at the store that you can get, and they're pretty small. They're smaller than my palm. Now, granted, I have big giant hands, but just to kind of give you an idea, I used 2 large cucumbers, 4 small green apples. I essentially use 4 to 5 cups of packed spinach, and this is organic spinach. And then I use the juice from 1 pretty small lemon. It's not huge. What I was going to say is that I use the slow juicer, which actually does press out more juice than, say, a masticating juicer because it's kind of destroying some of the juice as it's going through the masticating quick process. So this will actually end up creating 2 juices that end up being about 12 to 14 ounces each. And because it's a slow press juicer, it does maintain the nutrients in the juice longer. So for instance, if my husband didn't want to have one of the juices, I could store it overnight in the fridge and it would be good for tomorrow morning. So I kind of like having the option of making 2 and having them for 2 days. So what we're going to do here is pretty basic. I'm going to flip on my juicer, which is a little bit loud, but not overwhelmingly loud. And then I'm just going to start putting product into the juicer. Now it's pretty easy. I usually start with, say, some cucumber because it's chock full of water content, which is going to start pushing some of the juice out. And then I just kind of rotate between the spinach, the apples, and the cucumber. And I just get it going. And it is kind of a slow process, but there's nothing to it. It just churns things up. Add a little bit of the lemon juice in there. And I don't worry if, say, the apple core gets in there or seeds get in there. Because of the process, you're not going to end up getting any of that in your actual juice. You might get some pulp, but you're not going to get like the hard, chunky, seedy stuff. Be a little bit careful when you're trying to put your lemon into your juicer because I've dropped a lemon in there before and the peel does a number on the juicer. It's jammed me up before. I couldn't get it off. It was just a mess. So try to be careful with that. And we're just going to rotate around and keep adding greens and interspersing it with the apple pieces and the cucumber pieces. Now the apple and cucumber, because the greens are very kind of solid and compact and leafy, it can kind of start jamming up the inside of the juicer since it goes so slowly. And so it's really nice to be able to put a high water content fruit or vegetable slice in there, in between putting some of the greens to kind of help clear out, wash out the juicer as it does its thing. And I actually just sliced up the apples with the core in there, not even worrying about it. That's kind of how easy this thing is. Now this type of juicer is more expensive. I think this one's a couple $100. It's the Bella NutriPro. But I know that and this was years ago, so I'm sure they've gotten better too. But a long time ago, we used a masticating big giant, those ones that are huge and long and gross looking. We used one of them for doing some juicing, and that thing was a beast. It was just brutal to use, brutal to clean. And like I said, I'm sure they've gotten better, but overall, this one has been a million times better, easier to clean. Almost all of this is dishwasher safe, and most brands, I mean, you don't have to get this brand if you're in the market, but most brands do offer dishwasher safe parts. Now, I only wash it in the top shelf of the washer, but I'm pretty sure it can be washed in the bottom shelf too. Just anything that I wash that's plastic, I try to keep up on that top shelf, away from the heat source. All right, and you can see that the juice is starting to come out on the other side, which is wonderful. I'm getting a good amount going there. I don't know if you can see the juice spraying up from the actual juicer as we go as well. It's kind of fun, unless you get sprayed in the eye, and that happens sometimes. Okay, so this is the jam that I was talking about, which is a bummer to have it happen live because this almost never happens. But that's what we're doing here. We're doing live stuff, and this could be a problem. So bear with me. This could be a reason not to get a juicer like this because the masticating juicers don't have these same issues, at least not to my knowledge. And now I've put the top on wrong, my gosh. We're having all sorts of problems. All right, I literally can't get this off, Lance. I don't know how to get this off of here. Got put on wrong and it's not turning off. All right, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out on my own. As you can see, I'm about halfway done, which means I probably have about half of my juice left. I'm not gonna force you to sit here and kind of watch me painstakingly try to get this off and then work it out. The juice itself that we've already created is delicious, and it's got a good mix of what's in here. So the apple and the cucumber and the spinach and the lemon, don't forget the lemon. So as you can see, you can just pour it into the cup, and there you go. You've got about 12 to 14 ounces of juice. This actually has the markings on it. I'd say this is almost right about at 12 ounces, and we're about halfway through, so you can see that we would get about another 12 ounces out of what's left. I'm going to take off and figure out how the heck to get my juicer, just the lid to come off. I'm sure I could get the actual jam unjammed if I could get the lid to come off, but that's a problem. But this is live and this is what happens. At least you do get to see what the end result was. Now, like I said, this is one of my favorite juices, and it still tastes good. So hopefully you won't run into the same problems. This creates two juices again. Next week we'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time here in America. If you're tuning in from other places, I really appreciate the fact that you're tuning in. I know there might be a time difference that's a little bit trickier to manage, but these videos will always be available on our YouTube channel after the fact, so they're always available to watch later. And then we do go ahead and publish a corresponding article on Girls Gone Sporty to highlight what we've done here. So you'll be able to get the recipe over on Girls Gone Sporty. Watch this YouTube video back whenever you want. And as always, please be sure to subscribe. We've enjoyed bringing these to you, and we appreciate your support. So thanks. We'll see you next week.